I have a question here from a commenter where I've talked about happy women are always antagonized by unhappy women. This commenter says, ever since I've been in a relationship and genuinely happy, I've never experienced so much animosity from other single women, single and taken women, mainly single women who repeatedly tell me my love will eventually make me sad and miserable. And this is why I always tell people, and I've always told my clients this: you always have to consider your audience, and consider the people that you surround yourself with. If you guys aren't aligned on values and lifestyles, and um, even dating or marital practices, it's usually going to fail somewhere down the line. Hi, my name is Dr. Natalie Jones. I'm a licensed therapist. And one of the things that I have found is like when you're when you're dating and your dating life or your marriage life doesn't look like other people that are in your life, like other people may be unhappy and miserable. I'm of the belief, and maybe this is the uncommon belief, you can't really be around people like that. Um, so, for example, I'll just use up a hypothetical example for myself. Like I believe in monogamy, and I'm strictly monogamy. I don't care to have any conversations around, uh, you know, polyamory or ethical non-monogamy or cheating, for example, just cheating in any way or form. I don't care how you try to dress it up and put a bow on it. I don't want to hear about it. And so I know that for me, I cannot have friends in my life who are okay cheating or going behind their girlfriend's back and dating their man. As soon as I hear that kind of stuff, I move, block, and delete. I move away. Like I don't even. We're done. I don't even, especially at my big old age, right? I'm 46. So really, who needs to be doing that kind of stuff at 46? But that's just me. And so I know that like I believe in like being honest and all this other kind of stuff and dating in a particular way or being with someone, being in relationships in a particular way. And so I will not surround myself with people who cheat or who are swingers and doing all these other kind of things because those are not discussions that I want to have. That's not something that I'm curious about. And that's not something I will ever involve in any aspects of my life. So you're automatically just an acquaintance or an associate for me. We're not friends, and that's just to be in a close inner circle. We have to be so aligned on values that simple stuff, my happiness, your happiness, those aren't things that we're bickering about. We're already on the same page about that. So many times people try to include other people that they're not aligned with on values and lifestyles with, and try to talk to them and get them to try to change. No, don't do that. Like, see it for what it is and move accordingly. We can't be friends if we're not living this through the same values, or at the very least, supporting each other's values and understanding that. But I'm not interested in teaching values. I'm not interested in having conversations about things for me. Like this is my life and this is the way I've been living my life for a very long time. And that's not to say that I don't embrace differences within people, because I do. I love cultural differences. I love ethnic differences and all that kind of stuff. I love that kind of stuff. And I'm happy to talk with people about it. But when it comes to core values, ways that you live your life by, loyalty, those sorts of things, those respect and things, I'm not interested in people and surrounding myself with people who live a little bit differently. So, if I have a relationship that's happy, I'm already going to really be excluding myself from people that have bad marriages. I don't want to be surrounded by that. And that's not something that I don't want those kind of negative influences or those types of negative infiltrations in my life. I also don't want to be spending our time together going on and on and on about that, because a lot of times people who are in unhappy marriages or unhappy relationships, they can suck the energy dry out of their friendship just by talking about that, going on and on. And what they're doing is they're coming to you and they're basically pimping you and using you for the emotional labor to go back to that crappy relationship. I will never do that. Not anymore. I might have done that when I was a lot younger, but I don't do that anymore. And I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's my mother, brother, father, sister. I don't care who it is. I'm just not going to do that anymore. And I feel like ever since, when I teach people to kind of live by that, I'm happier, they're happier. They don't have to feel bad for having good relationships, being in good spaces with people. You don't have to be on the defense and defend your relationship. You don't have to worry about some bullshit like somebody trying to dig up something, somebody trying to sleep with your man to cause a rift, start rumors, start lies, doing immature, silly stuff. Because that's another thing that people like that will do when they see, that you're not being miserable with them. They will try to bring that out of you by sabotaging the relationship somehow. So if you see, for me, when I see a friend is in a terrible relationship, like, or, you know, or doing things that like maybe I might have done when I was younger, or maybe I would never even think of doing that because that's like that's wild that's happening. We're not close friends, and that's just how I live my life, by that. And it's not a personal judgment, but it is for me and protection of my life and my sanity, that I know that I deserve to be surrounded by much better than that. I know what goals I have for myself in terms of relationships. I also know that, like, energetically, when I spend time with people, because I'm a type of person that I work a lot, so I spend a lot of time working. You guys may not see that, but outside of doing the social media thing, I actually do a lot of work, and so I am very protective of any time that I'm spending with anybody outside of, just outside of my day to day life, because if it's a choice between listening to you about you and your bad relationships, which I can do that in my workspace because that's a little bit different. But if it's a choice between doing that with, a friend or family member versus me handling my business or going out with other people that are happy and fulfilled, guess what I'm going to choose every single time? And I've actually talked with people and told them, hey, like, whatever you got going on in your relationship, I'm okay not hanging out with you for a while. And I don't appreciate you coming to use me for emotional dumping or, things like. I will tell people at this stage of my life, I will straight up tell people, and I do not care, because I feel like they need to know, and they're going to know where I'm at, and I just move accordingly after that. It's not personal. It's just where I'm at. And I just don't care to do it anymore. And I think it's important that more women do this, because there's tools out there that women can use if they're in a bad relationship. People can go to therapy and do all types of stuff when they're in a bad relationship. And, as much energy and effort as you're taking being in a bad relationship, you can actually use that to go to therapy. But people won't do that because they're using you for that free emotional labor. And I'm not available for that. So yeah, so that's and I'm not available to those conversations about my love life being miserable, or my person will do this and do that. Maybe they will, maybe they won't, but I'm okay with finding that out, and I can trust myself enough to know that I'll be able to manage it if it does work out that way. I'm Maggie the cat on a hot tin roof, so it always works out for me, and that's kind of how I live my life. So I hope that helps. Thanks so much for saying this.